welcome to Tim Conley Drums. Well, I wanted to talk today about something that we all encounter. It comes around and it hits us at some point or another. We all get sick. Now, when you get sick and you're a musician and you're a working musician, it's very different than any other job because on most other jobs, not all, I know there's jobs that are similar to musicians in the sense that you don't get paid, but you might not get punished the way musicians do. And I'll explain what I mean. If you're a teacher, a cop, a firefighter, you own your own business, whatever, if you take a day off sick, you're still going to get paid for the most part. So if you're taking a day off work and you're a teacher, you still get paid. Now, obviously, if you take too many and you abuse it, you get put into a program and they try to rein you in and whatever. There's always people that abuse sick time because it's easy money. You sit at home and you get paid. Or maybe you got some plans and you decide to take a sick day because you got plans. People abuse the system all the time. But if you're legitimately sick and you're at home and you're a cop, firefighter, teacher, whatever, you're getting paid. Well, it's very, very different for musicians. If you're a musician and you're not feeling well and you're really sick, there's the old saying, the show must go on. Well, sometimes the show can't go on and you cannot perform. And what I meant by the punishment is if you cancel a gig at a venue and you expect to go back there again, they will shut you down because there's so many bands. Even if they love you, they will shut you down, meaning that they won't book you again. That's the punishment that often follows a cancellation. Now, I've played sick at gigs years ago where I was deathly ill, had a bucket right beside the drum kit. That's how sick I was. Or I'm literally wiping my nose in between every song, sometimes even blowing my nose during a song on a break. I got Kleenexes sitting right beside me on a little table or something, and I'm pulling Kleenexes and wiping my nose while I'm performing. That has happened as well. I've played at every level of sickness from, obviously many, many gigs where I'm just minorly sick, but I've also played a lot of gigs where I was majorly sick. The worst one ever, I should not have gone. It was a huge mistake because I was so sick. I don't even remember the gig. It's like it was a hallucination or something. I don't even remember playing. I was so sick. And in between songs, I'm trying to hydrate myself. But you know what it's like when you're sick and it's hard to drink. You can't eat anything. And here I am playing and trying to show the audience a brave face, and I'm deathly ill. Now, that I don't do that anymore. If I'm sick now, screw it. The venue wants to cancel the band because one of the members or all the members or whatever, somebody's sick and there's a cancellation. You can't get a sub because sometimes the sickness happens the day of the gig. You're too sick to perform, can't get a sub. You got no choice but to cancel. It is what it is. Owners don't see it that way. They get very angry, and we're not having them back again. Even if you've played 25 gigs in some places where you never missed, you always showed up, you always put on a good show, the audience loved you, you made the venue a lot of money, everything is great. But then that one time you're sick, and it's happened to me. I've had to cancel on venues because somebody was sick, not necessarily me, but somebody was sick, couldn't get a sub because it was very short notice, had to cancel. The other times I've had to cancel is weather, extreme bad weather. I'm not putting the band's lives at risk. I shouldn't even be putting the public's lives at risk that want to actually venture out to see the band. So canceling those gigs, you'll get punished as well. I mean, it's crazy. They can see the weather outside exactly the same way that I can see. They can read on their phone that it's impending doom coming, a huge storm is coming, an ice storm. They're the worst. So the band decides not to chance driving a distance, let's say, Let's say you got to drive 25, 50, 100 kilometers to get to your gig. Well, that's dangerous in bad weather. I don't care what anybody says. So back in the day, I didn't cancel very much at all when I was the band leader, and even in the bands I played in, very few cancellations. You either got a sub, you played through the sickness, you drove through the weather, et cetera, et cetera. But accidents happen. And I'm going to tell you this story. I played a gig way up north. The gig was way up north. And we had to drive to get there. It wasn't a situation where somebody was driving us on a tour or anything like that. It was a 3-night gig, but we had to drive to get to the venue. And it was quite far up north, hours and hours up north. And the singer in the band was sick on the way to the gig, but figured I'll get better as I go along, lots of tea and honey and various drugs that I can take in terms of you know um, Advil and Tylenol and whatever, anything like that. I'm not talking about street drugs or anything. And as they're driving, they get into a car accident because it was terrible bad weather, blinding snow, terrible bad weather. Singer gets into a car accident and does not make it to the gig. Well, we had to cancel. We had to cancel. We were all in the midst of driving up, some of us driving individually. Actually, for that particular gig, we all drove individually. We did not combine and drive together just because of timing of when we were going to be getting there and the way the day had rolled out. Sometimes bands will collaborate 2 and 2, 1 and 3, or all 4 of you or all 5 of you, depending on how many are in the band. But in this particular gig, we all drove individually. Singer gets into an accident, gig is canceled. The venue has a fit because now they've got to fill 3 nights, not just one. Very, very terrible situation. I was extremely apologetic, but what can I do? The vehicle was a write off and no means other than what they had to get to the venue. So they had to turn around, get towed back to the home area of the singer, which happened to be in Hamilton. And that was it. There was going to be no gig, and the venue was having a fit. Now, they never hired us again. It's one of those situations where they take it out on you despite the fact that it's not your fault. You're asking us to drive up to you miles and miles away. You want to hire us. You really wanted us. They came after us. I didn't come after them. They actually contacted me and said, "Hey, we've heard really good things about you guys from the agents and whatever. I'd like to book you direct though, and I want you guys to come up and play." Okay. So I arranged the whole gig. It just so happened that on the way up, massive snowstorm, blizzard, whiteout conditions causes an accident. And then all hell breaks loose in terms of the gig being canceled. And then either they go without entertainment, they get a DJ in, or they hire another band. I mean, it's not the end of the freaking world, people. It's music. I understand that for a club, they think it's the end of the world because they don't have any entertainment, and you've got to have entertainment of some kind in a club. At the very least, just get somebody to play some music over a sound system if you're that hard up. That's the way I see it. But because we canceled, I never heard from them again, despite me contacting them many times, apologizing many times, and it was a bad situation. Now, I remember another situation, again, up north, played a gig, and it was another 3-nighter, but a different place, and played the gig. And again, bass player gets into an accident, another situation where there's an accident. This time, though, it was after the gig was over. The gig was done. He decided to stay up all night for unknown reasons. I don't know why. Stayed up all night and leave in the morning at 6 a.m. Well, 6 a.m. driving home, starts to do the nods, drives off the road, smashes into a tree, writes his vehicle off, and that's the end of that. Now, that was after the gig. I'm not going to say that's any better because oh, we didn't get the gig canceled. But two things. If we hadn't been there for that gig, that accident would not have happened. But more importantly, this person should have went to sleep, got some rest, and then ventured out in the morning. The not sleeping was the real problem. But I mean, musicians sometimes, people in general, they think that they're invincible and they can just do whatever they want to do and nothing's ever going to happen. But I'm here to tell you today, shit is going to happen. So back to the sickness thing. Now, if I'm sick now, I'm not performing. I don't care what anybody says. I'm 60 years old, almost. If I'm sick, I am not suffering through having a bucket beside me, pulling Kleenexes off the floor, Tom, whatever. If I'm sick, I'm canceling. And if the venue doesn't like it, that's just too damn bad. It's just the way it is now. I didn't have that attitude years ago. When I was younger, I was actually when I was new to the booking scene, I was intimidated in some cases by venues. I wanted to make them happy. I wanted to make the agent happy. I didn't want the agent to drop us. Oh no, if I cancel this, the agent's going to drop us. Oh no, if I cancel this, the venue is going to drop the agent and us, and the agent's going to be angry at me. The venue is going to be angry at me. I don't care anymore. If the agent drops us, oh well, I'll find another agent. If the venue drops us, oh well, there's plenty of places to play. So I don't worry about it anymore. So I advise you guys to do what's right for you. But if you're sick or if somebody else is sick and you are absolutely forced to cancel, I mean, try and get a sub. You know, I subbed myself out. There was times where I was sick where I managed to get a sub, and then somebody came and played for me. Fine. There was also occasions where a guitar player's sick, for example, can't make the gig, and I managed to get a sub. I can remember one time, this is another kind of a funny story. Well, sort of funny. You be the judge. A guitar player calls me the day before a gig and says that he can't make the gig. And he was very, very hesitant to tell me. I'll get into more details of this story on another day, but he was very hesitant to tell me about what was going on. And finally, I got it out of him. He was in jail. So he didn't know how long he was going to be there. So what do we do? Guitar players in jail. Not only are we stuck for the next day, next 2 day gigs, because we had a Friday, Saturday booked at a venue. What about moving forward? What about the following week when we got gigs? And the week after that, we didn't know. So I was in a situation where I've actually got to hire somebody to completely replace him because I don't know how long he's going to be in jail. So it was a emergency sub situation for the next 2 nights. But then after that, I had to get somebody to eventually replace him. And then I'll tell you the story on another day. That's a very delicate situation. This particular um, musician band member, years a long time ago, going to jail. It was a very difficult situation, that one. But the bottom line is, if you run into difficult situations, you can't get a sub, and you're forced to cancel, it is what it is. Now there are bands that cancel and they don't get punished. That does happen, but it's rare, and it's mainly in the ticketed venue scene. Pearl Jam, big huge band, Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi can't sing and whatever, and they cancel. Well, they return the money to the fans, hopefully, and they reschedule another day. It's a lot easier for big stars to cancel than it is for, mid-level to lower level bands that are just playing small venues, and especially non-ticketed venues. The non-ticketed venues, picking on the little guy, the non-ticketed venues, the bars and or places where you play where there's no tickets and money exchange, those are the places that punish you the worst for being sick or canceling. And it's just not right. It is not right. So, my advice, don't be afraid to cancel if you have to, because it's better that you be safe than sorry because of like I was saying about the car accidents and also just the pain and suffering you go through. I mean, I got through those gigs when I was sick, but I'll never do it again just because it's too much. I'm much older now and it's just too much for me to do that. So as much as it sucks, I'm not afraid to cancel. All right, guys. I hope this helps you out a little bit. And you can take my advice or you can leave my advice. It's completely up to you. But, anyways, as always, guys, thanks for watching and keep drumming. See ya.